Peace, power, prosperity, everybody. What's going on? How's everybody doing today? What I want to talk about is, a lot of times when we talk about spirituality, especially when we deal with the Western psychology of spirituality, they talk about God the Father, they talk about the Holy Spirit being masculine, right? And of course, Jesus is a man. And even if you look at Islam, you're dealing with Allah, which is basically a masculine in invocation. You're dealing with Prophet Muhammad, which was a man, Bilal, a man, right? But a lot of times when you're dealing with these Abrahamic or these westernized religions, or even a bulk of religions, even Buddhism, you know what I'm saying? Hinduism, a lot of these deities, they start off as male. And them starting off as male is really doing a disservice to you really understanding your own spirituality. And that's why Western spirituality doesn't work for people. That's why people still will go to church, but have to go to counseling. They have to, take drugs and take all these psychoactive pills that mess with your mind, that harm your body, right? That do permanent damage, way worse than the depression or the anxiety or the stress that you're undergoing. Because the Western world doesn't really have a spiritual system to develop you. So when you're talking about spirituality, first and foremost, what you have to realize is that you're dealing with the feminine. Okay? Whenever you're dealing with anything spiritual, and by spirit, I mean the fire or the spark that is within you, right? We all know people who have negative spirits. We all know people who have positive spirits, right? People that you feel good around, people that you don't feel good around, right? When you are able to recognize that, that is you being in tune with your spirit. Also, when you listen to music, music is a spiritual tuner. Depending on the type of music you listen to, it spurs a different form of spirit. For instance, if you're listening to classical music, it's much different vibe or spirit than if you're listening to NWA, right? So the spirit is the mother of all things. Spirit is the mother of all things. So you're dealing with the feminine world, right? Let's look at something like the smartwatch, right? I remember as a kid, right, the smartwatch was reserved for Dick Tracy. So Dick Tracy was on my cartoons, right? On when I looked at the paper, I would see the Dick Tracy cartoon, and he'd have a smartwatch. This was just something in someone's imagination, in someone's spirit, right? It wasn't yet materialized in the real world. So they were mothering the idea of a smartwatch in the 60s, 70s, or however old the Dick Tracy comic is. That was something that was an idea in the mind. And everything that's created here on Earth, there is some mothering, from the iPhone to the home you live in, to the car you drive, to the train you take, to the bus, to the plane you fly. Those are all ideas that were mothered in the womb of the mind. And they become nurtured over time, right? The Wright brothers, when they flew the first plane, right? They had to nurture the idea of even creating a plane, right? That idea had to be something that stuck with them. That idea over time, repetitiously done, became passionate, right? But it was mothered, it was nurtured, it was caressed, it was cared for.
But if a person then can become so familiar with the old self, is it possible then that they can become familiar with a new self? Can they begin to think about the thoughts they do want to fire and wire in their brain, and with attention in the present moment, can they begin to fire and wire those thoughts until they become more automatic and it's the new voice in their head? Can they begin to sit down and review how they're going to be in one day, who they're going to be when they start their day or open their eyes? And I started coming across all this research on mental rehearsal, which means when you plan an act, when you review what you're going to do, the act of imagining it and rehearsing it begins to change the brain to look like you already did it. You're installing the neurological hardware in preparation for the event. And if you keep firing and wiring, that hardware is going to become a software.
Now, when you're dealing with anything spiritual, again, you're dealing with the mother, you're dealing with the feminine, right? Now, you have people who daydream all day, who have big dreams, big talk, right? Big ideas, and never do anything with it. Those are people that are unbalanced. And those are people who are in the mother mind on a regular, consistent, 100% basis. People who are overthinkers, just think, but never do anything. They are still in that motherly, that nurturing, right? That imaginative mindset. What you have to do is you have to realize that you are out of balance. And some people are in the masculine mindset. Now, remember, I said everything spiritual is motherly, right? Anything that comes from the subconscious mind, everything that comes through the imagination is motherly, or it's right brain. But when you're dealing with the feminine, when you're dealing with the opposite side, the yang to that yin of feminine, the yang is the masculine. And the masculine is the person that takes the idea of the Dick Tracy smartwatch and actually says, how can I create an Apple smartwatch? How can I, what tools would I need? What, whether it be cobalt, what minerals, what elements, what parts do I need to create the smartwatch? The same thing. Someone had the idea of creating the home that you live in right now, the place that you live in right now, or the place that you went to work. Somebody had an idea of how to construct it. They nurtured that idea, and then the masculine energy, which is the creative energy, went to work in building your home or building the building you work at through the architecture and the actual labor, right? The architecture is more so feminine, but the actual labor, the putting the pieces together, the laying the foundation, the putting up the sheetrock, putting the sinks and the floors, that's masculine energy. That's the creative energy. Now, a person who's unbalanced on the masculine side of energy, what they do is they're the people that are copy and pasters. They're the people that are create, but they don't create from their own spirit. They don't create from their own mother. They don't create from their own mental womb. They create what other people create. So these are the people that don't have original ideas. We see them all the time on social media. All they do is they get people's posts and they copy and paste them. That's it. They get people's ideas and they recreate them, right? Some people even recreate other people's posts, and I'm just using social media, but some people recreate somebody else's post and act like it was them. You know what I'm saying? Because they're not using the mother. And you have these people that just walk through life aimlessly following the next news story, following the next thing that Biden or Trump or Deep State or QAnon or et cetera, this leader, that leader, this influencer, that influencer, without being, and they just follow, they just do. They're stuck in masculine energy. They're not stuck in spirit energy. They're not going from spirit to creation. They're just being duplicators. They're copy and pasters. They're essentially doing the base reproduction that happens when you give birth, which is just coming out of the womb, right? They just see the womb and they just come out, basically. But they don't want to create their own. They just want to take something from somebody. They just want to duplicate. They just want to copy and paste. And if you look at the world, the majority of people operate with a copy and paste, a reproductive mindset, instead of a creative mindset, coming from spirit, coming from source, coming from the internal mother, the internal womb, the subconscious mind. And one of the best ways to balance those things is to understand that that's the system of creation. Nurturing an idea, nurturing a thought, being passionate about it, right? And then actually going out and produce it. Not just daydream about it, not just wish about it, not just talk about it, but actually going from that feminine to the masculine, which is the creative, the building, the actual, the creative, the building, the constructive, the reasoning, the seeking of help, right? That's all masculine. And right now, in this Western world, we're under a masculine mindset. So there's so many people that are quick to follow ideas, quick to follow trends, but there's very few people that are going to create their own trends, that are going to create their own ideas, that are going to create their own way of life, their own way of thinking. They're just going to reproduce. They're just going to copy and paste. They're just going to duplicate. They're not going to have any original ideas. Those are people that are unbalanced, that are stuck too far in the masculine. They're just going to follow Jesus. They're just going to follow Allah. They're just going to follow Muhammad. They're just going to follow minister this. They're just going to follow priest this. They're just going to follow Baba that. But they're not going to create. They don't realize that all the people that they follow have created something to follow based on them tapping into the divine mother, which is the spirit world, which is the imaginative world, which is the world that creates the physical world in real time.
Right now, we're inside a computer program.
Is it really so hard to believe? Your clothes are different, the plugs in your arms and head are gone. Your hair has changed. Your appearance now is what we call residual self-image. It is the mental projection of your digital self.
This isn't real.
What is real? How do you define real? If you're talking about what you can feel, what you can smell, what you can taste and see, then real is simply electrical signals interpreted by your brain. This is the world that you know. The world as it was at the end of the 20th century. It exists now only as part of a neural interactive simulation that we call the Matrix. You've been living in a dream world, Neo. This is the world as it exists today. What is the Matrix? Control. The Matrix is a computer-generated dream world, built to keep us under control in order to change a human being into this.
No. I don't believe it. It's not possible.
I didn't say it would be easy, Neo. I just said it would be the truth.
Stop.
So understand the difference between masculine and feminine energy. Understand that in order to really progress in this world, you have to be attuned to the infinite. And when you're in tune with the infinite, you're in tune with the divine womb. You're in tune with the feminine, and you're in tune with your own feminine nature, even if you're a man. And being in tune with that feminine nature means that you're in tune with the creative. You're in tune with the nurturing. You're in tune with the ability to teach and the ability to give and the ability to provide wisdom, as well as, even if you are a man or a female, the ability to defend yourself, the ability to push against all odds, to push past the haters, to push past the people that say you can't do, to push past the people that don't believe in you, the family members that say it won't work, society that says this is a stupid idea, the people that will judge you on Instagram and Facebook for speaking your truth, for shining your light. Okay? That is the masculine energy. This is the year of the ox. So that's the energy that we really need to be on. But we first have to come from the source of creation, which is our imagination. Everything is created from the mind's eye. Everything that we use, everything that we interact with, from a spoon to a fork to a sock, was the creation from the mind's eye.
Do not try and bend the spoon. That's impossible. Instead, only try to realize the truth.
What truth?
There is no spoon.
There is no spoon?
Then you'll see that it is not the spoon that bends. It is only yourself.
The Oracle will see you now.
The third eye or the first eye, and that is the divine womb. If you are not in tune with that part of your nature, you are just going to be a copy and paster and a reproducer. But God loves creators most because creators really make the world go round. If there was no smartphone, I wouldn't be doing this today. Somebody created this, right? If there was nobody created the shoe, we'd be walking barefoot. If nobody created the wheel, there would be no cars. So creators make the world go round. And creators, like the Wright brothers, right, in order to make planes, creators go against all odds. Creators trust the divine feminine, trust the source energy that they had in order to move things forward and put their creations. And part of the divine feminine is being passionate, having passion. Without passion, you can't do shit. Without passion, you will give up. So the key is to find things to be passionate about that come from your imagination. Once you find things to be passionate about that come from your own imagination, now you're in tune with spirit. Because think about it. A woman will lift cars to save her children. Women will do superhuman things. It's been documented to save their children, to make sure their children are okay. Things that they never thought possible. Superhuman strength, superhuman abilities in order to protect their children. That's passion. That's the feminine. That's the divine feminine, though. We all know mothers who don't take care of their children, who don't treat their children right? Who are acting out of the divine feminine, but in the masculine. They may be selfish, right? That's part of masculinity as well. There's a point in time when you are doing your own thing and when you're trying to make things happen where you got to be selfish. You got to have focus. You got to have your eye on the prize. And selfishness doesn't mean that you don't have friends or that you're isolating yourself from everyone, but it just means that you're selfish about getting your dreams and your goals and your visions accomplished. But tapping into the divine feminine also and being balanced means that you know you need people that will help you. You know you need a team to surround you. You know that you need a family, whether it be blood family or family that you pick up off the internet or family that you pick up through going through life and experiences with people, so forth and so on, in order to create and make things and build. Because each one needs to teach one and each one needs to reach one. So understanding the divine feminine and understanding the divine masculine is really about, the divine feminine is really about the womb, which is the subconscious mind, which is the third eye, nurturing that as much as possible, finding things that you're passionate about, things that you love, things that if the world was to explode today and a genie came down and gave you one job that you could do, figure out what that is, and that's your passion. And start to nurture that. Start to go towards that. That's the divine masculine. Okay, start to go towards that. Start to find people to align with. Start to find communities. Start to create startups. Start to create alignments, hubs, especially melanated people. We need to do that more often and form investment groups. Get financially literate. Those are masculine things. Okay? But it first has to be implanted here in the womb of the mind. So, imaginative feminine, creative masculine creates divinity, creates manifestation. And the key that holds the divine feminine and the divine masculine together, just like a good relationship, is passion. Is passion and constantly nurturing that passion for each other. Just like a relationship, you nurture that passion with your left and right brain, your left brain being masculine, your right brain being feminine, and you nurture this with your actions. How you live your life, how you exist in the world, how you treat others, and most importantly, how you treat yourself. Okay? Yourself, your family, then the world. That's the formula. But the divine masculine is about you pushing past obstacles, hate, and all the things that come against you, and nurturing the divine feminine, that womb, just like you would feed a baby, just like you would feed a child, with passion, with love, with encouragement, and with visualizations of a positive, beautiful future creation. All right? And once you do that, your electromagnetic field starts to enhance. It starts to broaden. Things start to come into your life that you wouldn't believe. You start to avoid obstacles, right? Because you're in tune. You're in tune with the infinite. But the first step is always the divine feminine. The first step is always the mind's eye. The first step is always the imagination. The first step is always your vision. Science says 60,000, we think 60,000 negative thoughts a day. Imagine if we were able to hack into our daydreams, and instead of once these negative thoughts came up, we rewrote them consciously using that divine masculine. We rewrote them consciously. We took action instead of just letting those thoughts go by and doing nothing about them year after year after year. So peace to all the creators out there and the copy and pasters. Hopefully, you maybe next life. All right. One love, y'all. Peace, power, and prosperity.
But you wrapped up in this kind of teaching and you heard it and you can't handle it, so you go overboard. The black man is God. It sounds good. It's true, you got the potential. But how could you be God and can't make toilet paper yet? I mean, if the white man didn't sell us toilet paper, brother, I mean, we would be glad for fall to come so you could store leaves in your house. So you can't run around here telling people you God and can't produce nothing. You must say it right. You must say, I have the nature of God, and I have the potential to be like unto God, but I got a long way to go. It's a pilgrimage. It's a long, hard journey. I just want to say a couple more things. Now look. The original thing in the universe is not only original man, but it is Allah. You don't predate him. He's number one. God is number one. All right? You are his first creation, but you must submit to him. All right? The original thing in the universe is truth. And as all things come out of blackness into light, black represents universal. If you want to say it in this language, you say black. When you translate that into another term that means the same, you say universal. You know why? Because every one of us had to come out of the darkness of our mother's womb into the light. Nothing of life was conceived in the light. It all was conceived in total blackness. So black represents universality. And if you look at your nature, beloved, you're a universal man. You ain't a nationalist.